They just decided, we're going to take your money, and, FDIC. Could you imagine what the dollar would be worth if they had to print $1 trillion or $2 trillion, or heaven forbid, what's insured, just the insured amount, not, 9 or 10 trillion, just, 3 or 4. Could you imagine what the dollar would be worth if everybody demanded the government to print $3 or $4 trillion?
Well, the FDIC fund is supposedly has access to the Treasury, not for printed money, but as a loan. So they're supposed to be able to borrow from the FDIC if they the Treasury if they have to, which they did in the last bailout, a bit, a couple billion or a few billion. And then who's supposed to pay that back are the banks, because the banks they all contribute to this FDIC fund. It's supposedly supported by the premiums of all these banks. But the Dodd-Frank Act says that we, the people, are no longer going to be responsible for the big banks when they collapse, which means it's not clear that they'll even be able to, that the FDIC will even be able to borrow from the Treasury. But even if they could, let's say they borrowed $1 trillion, who is going to pay that $1 trillion back? That's going to bankrupt all the small banks that had to contribute to this premium. They'll say, well, we're raising your premium to, everything you've got, basically. The little banks will go out of business, and who's going to survive? The big banks. So what we're gonna have left is like 5 big banks, and everybody else is going to be bankrupt.
Oh, that's what you think? Holy smokes! You think that's what the plan is? Just to bankrupt all the banks? We consolidate the banking to just a few of the mega banks?
Well, whether it's the plan, you can see that that's the likely result. It seems to me. I mean, just assume a big derivatives bust, and many people are predicting that, and nobody knows what's going to happen when that does happen. It was the same sort of threat that made Congress get strong-armed into the bailout in the first place, the thought that everything was going to go down, that our bank accounts are all going to get wiped out. But really, if they're going to take our money, why are we keeping our money there? It seems to me there is a solution. We need to set up our own publicly owned banks. First of all, pull our public monies out of the big Wall Street banks, put them in our own banks, leveraging it for our own purposes, partner with the local banks, do just like the Bank of North Dakota does, which the Bank of North Dakota is the only state that escaped the credit crisis, and they would escape the next one. They're not